Hello everyone again. Greetings to everyone. Let me introduce myself. I'm Aidana, an alumna coordinator at the C5+1 Youth Council. So before, I used to implement some projects within C5+1 Youth Council as a member in 2021. And then I became an alumna and started to work here. So today we are going to conduct alumni talks with Aidana Madanbekova on the topic of how to write a cover letter and build a CV for a job. So before we will proceed with the presentation of our speaker, let me briefly tell you about C5+1 Youth Council. So in 2016, the US Embassy in the Kyrgyz Republic created a dynamic C5+1 Youth Council that brings together youth from Central Asia and Afghanistan with a diverse background, leadership skills, and mindsets for positive change. And since January 2021, the American Council for International Education in Kyrgyzstan has administered the C5+1 Youth Council program with a grant from the United States Department of State. And the opinions, findings, and conclusions stated herein are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect those of the United States Department of State. And the goal of C5+1 Youth Council is to increase connectivity and foster leadership skills for young student leaders through engagement on issues relevant to Central Asia and Afghanistan. So now I would like to ask Aidana introduce herself and start her presentation.
Thank you so much, Aidana. First of all, give me just 1 second so I can upload into the screen share, okay?
Sure.
So it's not, can you see my screen right now?
So could you try again, please?
So yes, can you see it now?
Yes.
Good. First of all, I would just briefly tell about myself. So my name is Aidana Madanbekova, and currently I'm working as a program and content manager at DAI Global UK Limited organization, which is located in London, but it has branches in Kyrgyzstan. So actually we are working on a program which is called Enterprise and Innovation Program all over Kyrgyzstan. We have 3 branches. So I'm managing the branch in the south of Kyrgyzstan. Right now it's called Pikosh Business Innovation Center. So I'm an alumni of the American University of Central Asia. As you can see, also I am a FLEX alumna. I was a part of MCHAM mentorship program, and so as a FLEX alumna and also as a C5+1 Youth Council alumna, I was fortunate, I would say, to be a part of American councils, as well as all these programs are sponsored by the US Department and administered by the American councils. So I had a great chance during my student years to implement some social projects within C5+1 as well as FLEX alumni. So I used to work at KPMG. If you have heard of this company, it's like Big Four company, one of the Big Four companies in the world, and I worked in an audit department. So because I graduated from the business administration department from AUCA. Also, I'm sure that you have heard of ProKG. I am an alumna of ProKG, and I did an exchange semester in France. The business school is called IÉSÉG School of Management. So you can see like Kyrgyz Concept and Coca-Cola. I don't have experience of working there, but I used to solve business problems for them at the case championships, which were held during my student years as part of Bishkek Business Case Cup competitions. I have a good experience working for the Alchemy Hospitality. The company is located in Long Island, New York, in the US. So I worked there for 3 consecutive summers as part of the work and travel program, if you heard of it. And I was happy to gain all this experience, and today I would like to share with some tips and my experience, so I can really help you and contribute to the development of youth, so in your career growth. So first of all, let us start from the cover letter. So how to write a cover letter, right? If you have heard of this cover letter, I'm sure you have had experience in writing any motivational letters or statement of purpose, and it's the same as a cover letter. But cover letter is a special document which is written for the job applications mostly. And I will briefly go through this presentation, and mostly I would like to share with my knowledge and experience what I have learned throughout my challenges, I would say, and I don't want you to repeat such mistakes in your job applications. So the cover letter must be a brief one-page document. It should be like a complement for your resume, because in your resume you cannot include or write your feelings and your all achievements, right? That's why you always should send the cover letter with your resume. So as I have said, the cover letters should highlight your achievements, qualifications that you have for this or that kind of position. So the purpose of a cover letter is, I mean, there should be questions that you have to always keep in your mind. For example, why you? Why you are the best candidate to be a part of XYZ company, let's say. And also don't forget to say why them, because very often young people, they make, not only young people, but in general, people when apply to jobs, they always focus on their own qualifications and achievements, but they forget why they are choosing XYZ company. That's why it's very important to say and speak about the company as well, because you are going to be a part of a company where you will be spending like at least 40-45 hours per week. So you should really know the mission, the goals of any company where you're applying for a job. So you have to be able to talk about them in your cover letter, as well as during the interview if you get shortlisted. So the cover letters that are just about you, and you have to catch their attention and you have to make a connection. So why making connection matters? As individuals, when first meeting, I mean, someone we always tend to like people who are similar to us in some way. That's why companies, they like people who can connect with their mission, culture, and employees, right? If you have similar goals in your life, for example, if you do want to implement social projects because you are not happy seeing that people are struggling, for example, in Kyrgyzstan. That's why you're applying for a job in some kind of NGOs, right? So you have the same similar mission, and you have similar culture. For example, you have experienced while you were a child, or during, even right now, you're experiencing some struggling, right? So that company or organization helps you to solve this problem that you're facing. So this is something common that you have with the company. So 3 ways to make a connection. As I said, share a story that shows you connect with their brand or their culture. So tell them how you came to learn that they were special among their competitors, and demonstrate why you value them and why you value the work that they do. So, I mean, you firstly simply start with the heading of the cover letter, where you should mostly include your name, your address, and the date, please, and also like where you are applying for. I have taken this example. I mean, you can see that it's an international example. If you don't know whom you're writing this cover letter, instead of Dear Miss Smith, you can just say Dear Sir or Madam, Dear the Selection Committee. So it's very important to include the date, your name, your some information about yourself, okay, before you start. When you have the cover letter itself, it's important to have some paragraphs, just break down into paragraphs. For example, I'm telling you about the paragraphs because if you have experience in academic writing, in English especially, you have, I'm sure you faced such kind of writing. So make it simple for yourself. You have to have your opening paragraph, your academic introduction, your body paragraph, and your conclusion. So here, what is important is to say from the very beginning that you would like to apply for ABC position, and you have come across this position like from somebody, for example. If you have a hook, that's very good. For example, maybe some former colleague advised you to apply for this position. That is also relevant to write and include in your opening paragraph, because it will catch the attention of the selection committee, and they will know that there is somebody that really does think that you can be a good asset for the organization or company. Academic introduction, here you should just say about the college you are attending right now, or your degree that you received, like whatever relevant classes you have completed, and other academic information. Here, I would say that you should also include your experience. If you have work experience, for example, if you are applying for a marketing manager position, maybe you have experience of working as a communication specialist before, right? So you have to include that, because you already have necessary skills to work as a marketing manager, for example. I mean, that's an example, and your body paragraph should include all these skills, characteristics, experience, and qualifications. And don't forget about the highlights, like why you are interested in working with particular organization. In your conclusion, you just should kind of like include your contact information and say about your qualifications again and the position in the company. Here, I would also ask you to add some call for an action. Let's say like, I am looking forward to become a great asset for this company, to bring up ideas, and to maybe like bring positive initiatives, right? So this is like call to action that you are ready to be connected with them. So, and then don't forget about the signature, because it's very often when I see that people do not sign. I mean, as a manager, I also work and hire people. I mean, not only me, but with the selection committee. I'm one of the members when we are, I don't know, choosing candidates for our organization. That's why I have chosen this topic especially for you to share my experience. Whatever you should always bear in your mind, and just write a good cover letter. Things to remember, I would say, yes, it's just whatever we discussed in short: why you, why them, your style. Like, you should use a narrative style, right? Your lengths, it should not be more than 1 page, because, you know, it's from my own experience, I see that I don't have really time to read all these things. That's why make it short, but make it important. And your font should be like very beautiful. I mean, I would recommend you, if you're writing in English, use Arial narrow font when you're writing a cover letter. Just make sure that you have one font that is used throughout your whole cover letter. Tailor and customize your cover letter to each position. This is a very important tip, because in my experience, I see that people apply with one cover letter to several positions. This is not correct, because I mean, when you open and read, the HR manager will see and understand that no, it's not the person whom we need, because they can feel and see that the person didn't really care about this position and didn't try to spend time to put some effort to really apply to this job. And that's a huge mistake. Please write cover letters for each position separately. Here, I would also include that when you're writing a cover letter, you should go through the job requirements. For example, you found a job. Let's say if it's in Kyrgyzstan, most people, they go and search for jobs on employment KG, right? Which is a website for job openings. So you simply have to go through all the qualifications they need and all the job requirements, your job responsibilities of the position where you want to apply for. And in your cover letter, you should always mention the qualifications and experience that can go together with the position. Because, for example, if you are applying for a finance manager position and you used to work as an event manager, so there's a higher chance that you won't be accepted, right, to this job position. You won't be shortlisted, to be exactly, because the job requirements, you will not meet all these job requirements. That's why you have to always go through job requirements and then just make a parallel with your qualifications in your cover letter, which is it's very important. If you see that you don't have relevant experience for such position, maybe just think and recall some experience that you have done in your life, maybe not only work related, but also from your student years. That's also doable and it's acceptable. If you have been a part of let's say, business case team, then you can become a finance manager, right? Because you have done all these financial broad forecasts, and you have had all these calculations. I mean, of course, if you really had this experience, you have to make sure to include it. So in conclusion, as I said, why it matters. So a narrative complement to your resume, and have a goal in mind. Why me and why them? Be specific and highlight your specific examples, as I have already mentioned, of relevant academic, professional, or personal experiences. So here, like all this experience and qualifications should always go in parallel with the job requirements for any position. And your key elements, call for action. So adds depth to your resume and ties back to the position for which you're applying. So thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. And if you would like to be in touch with me, and if you have any questions, you can add me on LinkedIn or Instagram if you don't have LinkedIn. So I have given you the social media pages that I mostly use. Aidana, right now, if I still have time, I can go ahead and continue with the resume. If not,
Yes, sure, you can continue.
Okay, so my next presentation will be about the resume. We talked about the cover letter, right? First of all, and now we will discuss the resume, why it's important. Aidana, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Can you? Am I still
Yes.
sharing my screen?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see.
Okay, great. So first of all, you should always list your accomplishments in your resume. You can just make a screenshot of this presentation. Maybe it can be useful for you in the future. Whatever accomplishments you have done, both like in academic life or in your work experience. So for example, if you were a part of Inactus, for example, while you were in the university, so you can also include such kind of experience as well, academic accomplishments as well. If you have won any championships, any contests, please just show it, right? And what kind of problems you solved, for example, being a part of youth council, what kind of projects you have done. So why, for example, youth council is working with youth in Central Asia in many aspects. I mean, in economic growth, in economics as well as in nature resources, right? So you can also include about your project experience. You the university, you should also list them. So here, when you first of all find a job position, you should always answer to some questions. I mean, just ask some questions first of all from yourself, like say, am I able to do this job? Is it a good fit? Is this a good company? That's why you find a position, a job opening, a vacancy, you go through the job requirements, you read about the company, right? Mostly when people, when companies publish their job openings, they always give some information about themselves as well. But if not, you can go ahead and Google and search and read about this company, what they do, because you will get to know the qualifications the employer wants, like what kind of qualifications you have to have for some positions. Research the company, as I already said. Please ask all these questions because sometimes it's not just a matter of like just finding a job because you want to earn money. Rather, it's like more for experience, and you should make sure that you want to enjoy your work every day. So the contents of the resume simply includes your name, contact details, resume headline, work experience, your educational qualifications, your specialized skills, and important awards. You can also keep this for yourself and go through the bullet points in the future. So the resume summary, a snapshot paragraph of your resume, show why you are a rock star. I have said that because when you're applying for any position, you think that you are the best candidate, right? That you are a rock star, superstar. So you should just show it why with your work experience, qualifications, and customize the job that you're applying for, as I said. Identify your accomplishments. Did you increase the sales? I mean, I'm writing such kind of questions because I have experience in working in business sphere. That's why I'm speaking about sales a lot. That's, guys, just focus on the field that you're working or studying, okay? Did you improve any processes? What kind of processes? Did you save the company money? Or did you help to hit the goal for the revenue, right? So these are kind of accomplishment questions that you should answer. So storytelling in a resume. So I will show you later what kind of words you should use. Here you have to have short, truthful accomplishment stories. So I did this and the result was this. For example, you can write your resume using the SMART technique, I would say. Specific, right? Measurable, achievable. So you have already achieved it. Relevant to whatever position that you are applying for, and time bound. For example, I have written it like DAI Global UK Ltd company, program and content manager, the location where I work, the dates where when I worked, and I listed by bullet points. I did this and that. So, for example, I managed the team of 10 people, and the result, for example, I selected people to help in business and the number, right? So you should make your experience measurable as well. For example, how many people have been contributed through your work. Power words or action verbs, as we say in English, that are very useful to use for your resume. Solved, managed, developed, presented, completed, surpassed, all these words, they're very making sense words for your resume. Many people make mistakes. So in my experience, when I open the resumes, I just get in such situation when I have so many questions. I really want to say, guys, please use one font, make it beautiful, okay? Not saying that you have to add all these designs. No, keep it simple, but with nice fonts. So it will be easy for the employer to open your resume, and it will be easy to read your resume. So don't use jargons. And also when you send your resumes, please don't send it in a Word format. Word format, it's not professional. Please always, whenever you apply for any positions or any application like to some kind of programs, make it a PDF format, please, okay? You should have professional email address, not saying that you, I don't know, just use your first name and last name, Gmail address mostly, especially right now when some platforms are being banned. To make sure that you have a relevant Gmail address. So resume writing tips, I have already said, like, you have to proofread your resume. Don't use casual language, rather use professional language, action verbs, give examples of how you used your skills, and that you read and understand all these job requirements and you meet all these requirements. So as I have already mentioned in the cover letter and here as well, you should always research a company, like through social media pages, annual reports, the company's website. This will help you to find out about their values, news. Maybe they used to work in one field and they have rebranded themselves and joined for something else. Online reviews about their industry. It's very helpful. So types of resume formats: reverse chronological. Reverse chronological, it's a very most common resume format, and I would personally recommend you to use this reverse chronological format as well, because it helps you, for example, to follow the dates for the employer. In reverse chronological format, I mean, for example, you start from current time and you go to your previous experience. For example, 2022, your experience, and then after that, you list your experience from 2020, and so on. And there are also like functional skills-based resume, combination of chronological functional resumes, and your resume length should be up to 3 pages maximum. Approximate page numbers are sometimes are included in the job requirement. I mean, in the job opening. They say, please make sure that your resume is not more than 1 page, some positions. Or some people, they don't mention it, some companies, but make sure that you just make it up to 2.5 pages if you really have good experience. In this situation, about the resumes, what I want to say is that you should not have one resume for all vacancies. Don't apply with the same resume to event manager, to financial manager, and to the marketing manager. No, it's not correct. When you see a job opening, you again have to go through all these requirements and then make your resume over again so it complies the job requirements. So unnecessary, unrelevant experience should be deleted. Do not include it, okay? Because, for example, when I look through the resumes, I open it and I get tired when I go through 3-page resumes. When it's 1 page and I know that this person has this and that kind of skills for this position, I know what they want to say, okay? That's why please make sure that you also go back to your resume and at least like once in 3 months, update your resume with your skills on whatever you have already accomplished. Just keep it brief. And that's it, I would say. Right now, I want to show you my resume. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Aidana?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So please make the fonts readable, easy to read, and it should be written so as you see here, like your email address and your contact information, and also you can include such kind of a brief introduction about yourself, okay? And then you see here education. I have divided it into sections, so it's easier for my for the employer to look through my resume. My work experience is done also in chronological way, as I have already mentioned before. Here, as you see, like from August 21st till present time, I work for Pikosh Business Innovation Center, and my job requirements, whatever my responsibilities that I do within my work. So you can see here that I'm writing it in the present simple time because I'm doing it right now. So if you go further, you can see KPMG Bishkek LLC, financial auditor, but I'm reading it in the past because I don't work there anymore. So this is the example how I wouldn't say that this is a perfect example of a resume, but at least bring it to this level. And then if you have some mentors or other people who can really go through your resume and give you some advice, that's perfect. Because when I was a student, I had other like FLEX alumni or AUCA alumni whom I knew, and I would reach them out and ask them, please, can you proofread my resume and give your advice and comments. That's the time when I have now such kind of resume. Also, when I used to work in the US, I had really great opportunity that my manager helped me to also like advise in doing a good resume. Yeah, it used to be called Montauk Asset Holdings. Now it's Alchemy company, hospitality company. They just changed their title. So this is it in chronological way. And then I have the social project coordination experience, what I've done, and what was it for. And here in social project, I have also included the FLEX program alumni, additional skills here. That's kind of it. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Aidana. So that was really detailed and informative presentation. Even I didn't know about some points, and I'm gonna rewatch this session after it. Before we will start our Q&A sessions, so let me briefly share some information about C5+1 Youth Council. And dear audience, you can ask your questions in comment section. The C5+1 YC is a diverse group of youth from Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. And every year, new YC members from Central Asian countries and Afghanistan are selected among students representing local universities in Kyrgyzstan based on open competition, which includes application review and interviews. Gender balance, diversity, and genuine interest in C5+1 YC objectives. So currently we have our network consists of 109 YC alumna and 80 and 56 YC members. So the YC reinforces the US Central Asia joint goals of the countering violent extremism, Central Asia business competitiveness, transport corridor development component, Power the Future project, and supporting national and regional adaptation planning, and upholding human rights and freedoms, and promoting the inclusion of all people to support the region's sustainable economic development. So that was it, and let's proceed with questions and answers. So here we go. What things need to be avoided while writing a CV?
Excuse me, my mic was muted. Thank you for your question. So, as I have said, do not have one CV for all positions when you apply. So you have to have different CVs depending on what kind of position you're applying for. don't include, you should avoid having all your experience in one resume, because it will be very tiring for an employer to see and say that you have, for example, unnecessary experience, not relevant for this position. That thing is mostly that should be avoided. And don't send your resume in a Word format, as I said, do it in PDF. And also another thing that should be avoided is maybe don't use many cliche words. Some people say overperformed or like something like that, but instead use beautiful and helpful action verbs.
Thank you.
Hope
So the next. Could you advise some websites to build a CV?
Thank you so much for your question, Angiri. Honestly, I've never used any websites to build my CV because I think that's very, I mean, it depends if you're applying for a creative position or not. I mean, I honestly cannot recommend you because I've never used it before personally. Rather, I would recommend you to use to build it yourself from the very beginning. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And here another question from Aykirim. So is it possible to exaggerate in cover letters and CVs?
Of course, no, don't exaggerate it. Be trustworthy. You should always stick to your experience, because imagine the situation that you get selected to some position and then you won't be able to do some sort of work that they give you, and then they will tell you, well, you have already mentioned it in your resume, and if you get shortlisted to the interview level, they will make sure to ask about your experience. So anyways, your lying will be revealed soon or later. Yeah.
I guess she means that like exaggeration in a positive way. I mean, to write about like achievements, like strengths, really strong parts, like I don't know,
Yeah,
I'm
I guess
stress
if you,
resilient, detail oriented person like this.
for example, if you write that Adina said, like if you say that you are a stress resilient person, you should prove it with your example from your experience. For example, in my personal experience, I worked for KPMG, and we used to work like sometimes at nights up to like 3 a.m., you know. So this is really like being stress resilient. You have to always bring an example from your life, even when you say your strengths. Okay, don't just say that you're a team leader. Please prove it. What have you done? Were you a leader of a project team at your work, or you were a leader of any kind of team while you were in college? Yeah.
Thank you. And could you point out cliche words in a CV that makes it poor?
Yes, of course. Let me just, as I said about overperformed, right? Overperformed, or yes, even the word like stress resilient or detail oriented. These are
Yes.
cliche words because all the people use. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know if you have seen many resumes or not, but at my work, I always see this like overperformed. I was a leader. I was a strong. I don't know what team leader. And if these are cliche words because everybody use it, but if you know how to use it wisely. Okay, with your examples.
Thank you. So, what are the three main things needed in a cover letter?
What are three main things needed in a cover letter? As I said, you should mention where you have found this position and why you should be selected for this position and why you're choosing that company. Like, as I said, about their values, culture, and what qualifications you have to bring positive change into this company.
Yeah, makes sense. So, good afternoon. How to mention your achievements correctly in cover letters?
In a narrative way. In a narrative way, just tell a story. For example, in my personal experience, like to start my cover letters with a hook, right? For example, why I have chosen to study business administration. This is like a story from my childhood. My father has a garden, for example, and I used to work there every summer. I used to like gather fruit, peaches, and sell them in the local market when I was a kid. So I liked this process, and I tell about this story and say that it was always important for me that like you should know the value of money and you should know the meaning of work for you, and that's why I have earned my degree, I have attained my education and work experience in XYZ spheres. So then you just say like you mention about your experience. For example, one job responsibility. As a manager, for example, I have to develop partnership. I have to develop partnership with other people. How I would mention it in my cover letter, like I used to be a part of many programs, as you have seen, like FLEX program, Youth Council, C5+1. I am a graduate of AUCA. So these are like really big platforms where I can find other people to partner with at my work, right? This is like one example of a body paragraph, I would say. Yeah. Hopefully I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, that was really detailed answer. Thank you. I guess that's it. And before we will conclude, let's remind about. Let me remind about Youth Council. So, in 2016, the U.S. Embassy in the Kyrgyz Republic created a dynamic C5+1 Youth Council that brings together youth from all over Central Asia and Afghanistan with diverse backgrounds, leadership skills, and mindset for positive change. Since January 2021, American Council for International Education in Kyrgyzstan has administered the C5+1 Youth Council program with a grant from the United States Department of the State. The opinions, findings, and conclusions stated herein are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect those of the United States Department of State. The goal of C5+1 Youth Council is to increase connectivity and foster leadership skills for young student leaders through engagement on issues relevant to Central Asia and Afghanistan. So the YC is a diverse group of youth from Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. Currently, the C5+1 YC network consists of 109 YC alumna and 58 YC members. So that was it. And before we will conclude, I would like to ask you give some final recommendation for our audience.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Aidana, for giving this opportunity to me. First of all, I would say, please be active. Keep your initiatives always. No matter whether you're a student in college or you have already started to work, always stay up for any programs changes, so apply for them, get some experience, and never be sad if you are not selected, because practice makes perfect. Always try to just start over again and don't be afraid of failures, because I have also like some failures, but you just become stronger and you learn more from your failures. So that's why also always stay motivated and practice your writing skills, building your resume, find relevant people to proofread. Never be shy to ask for recommendations from other people if you think that they can give you good tips. You can also reach me out if I have time. I would be more than happy to help you to just go through your resumes or cover letters in detail. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Aidana. It was a pleasure to have you today. And I would like to encourage you to follow our social media pages in Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So to be updated and tuned to our all news and events within the C5+1 Youth Council. So thank you all for watching, and thank you, Aidana, for being with us. So see you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good evening.